you realize that that first reading from the book of Sirach, Sirach was written about 100 years before Christ came on the scene, and it was part of what we call the wisdom literature of the Jews. And it's literature that combines the faith of Judaism with the practicality of living in the world. So Sirach here is, if you caught it, it's very clear, but it has, poetic language, so sometimes you get caught up into the poetry of it. The author of Sirach is saying, support the church, support your temple, support your God. And he does it very poetically, but he combines giving and doing good with a way of offering sacrifice to God. Now just imagine the temple, the altar, sacrifices were things that were brought, animals, cut up lambs and burnt, and the offerings were smoke going into heaven, and that was a sacrifice, okay? Animal sacrifice. Jesus replaced all that, we know. But that was the way, and when we use incense at Mass, it's symbolically the same thing. We're offering God our prayers, and with the incense, our prayers rise to heaven. And, not astrologically, we're not talking about God in the clouds up here smelling us. No, we know what they mean. We mean that our prayers are going to God, creator of the universe in all his glory. So we need, as people, symbols. We need things that are concrete, and we hold on to these things to get across the idea of what we are doing, our faith and our presentation of our prayers to God. And this section of the book of Sirach tells us that keeping the law is like an oblation. Keeping the law, doing what is right, is an offering to God. So doing tells us how to do good in reference to supporting the temple. Generous spirit, pays homage to God. When you bring your gifts, do it with a smile. Keep your tithes with spirit of joy, because everything given to God is given back to you eventually through your merits and through God's grace. And he's very practical, like I said before. He says, don't try to bribe God. Just tell Jesus, hey, we left everything to follow you. And if you are following the new production called The Chosen, it's a very down-to-earth rendition of Jesus, his time and his followers and so on. And last week I came upon this particular. You're going to get more houses and wives and children, and you're going to get persecution besides because you're following me. And Jesus has that way in the world that it just doesn't fit in the world, the way of the world. So following Jesus is a higher goal. And following Jesus with all of our history, and you might say our baggage, is open on him. Now, both in the opening prayer and through the readings, two ideas also came up of areas of the world in which they need our prayer. The Catholic Church in China is suffering dramatically. Seminaries are being closed, bishops and priests are being put under house arrest, if not in prison. Seminarians are told to go back home. So the church is really surviving by a thread and by your prayer. Now we hope the politicians, whether the government or the church politicians, work on this, freeing the people of China to allow them to express their faith and believe in God. But praying for them is a duty for us. And offering our prayers on their behalf is a goal, and it's rewarded by God, by us, by God, by his love and charity and unity, uniting us to our sisters and brothers in China. Now, we in our country are going through that bizarre anti-Chinese and anti-Semitic and a few other anti-behaviors. Please, not for the Catholics, not for Christians. You can't be Christian and hate a person because of his ethnic background, because of his color, because of her behaviors that are a different religion or a different culture. That's so devilish. It's the work of Satan. So even praying for those people who are in our own country who are going through challenges. I mean, right off the top of the head, it's Asians and blacks and people of different color skin, but just labeling them, it almost embarrasses me, because they are our challenges. They are given to us by God, and whether they're white or black or a different language or different culture, they're given to us. People are given to us by God. That's His gift to us, and our gift back. And His law basically teaches us to love one another as His own Son loved us. Now, I wouldn't encourage any of you to put yourself in the physical harm situation, but speaking out, letting people know where you stand as a Christian, as a Catholic, letting people know the level of respect that we need to you to every person you meet on your way home. Do good, imitating Jesus Christ.